We're ready, we're on. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joseph Manute. I'm the Chair of the Education and Economic Development Committee. Today is March 20th, 4 p.m. and we have the meeting beginning, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. A copy of the agenda may be found on the county website under the tab Legislature. Actually, at this time, if you please silence your phones and electronic devices, and let you know that the acoustics in here are robust. At this time, I would ask that everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Kelly, may we have roll call, please?
Young.
Here.
Luzon.
Present.
O'Donnell.
Here.
Ramos. Present. Kevin.
Here.
Sassy.
Here.
Canada. Minute.
Here.
Present. 1 absent.
Thank you very much. We have a short agenda, but long in content. So moving right along. First item on the agenda is Stephen M. Newhouse, County Executive, with a request of reappointments to the Orange County Electrical Licensing Board for Barry Cheney and F. Perugino. Legislative request number 077. May I have a motion? Motion, Skevich, and second?
I'll make the second.
That was Sassy.
Was it Sassy? Thank you. Okay, you have the floor, Mr. Poor.
Good afternoon, everyone. As the chairman stated, we're here seeking the reappointment of 2 members to the Electrical Licensing Board. The first will be for a term to Barry Cheney till December 31st, 2023. And the second is a reappointment by Frank Perugino till December 31st, 2027. Both have served admirably, and we would appreciate your support.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, hearing none. This roll call. Just vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Opposed? Thank you. Oh, Mr. Benton.
One question, sir.
Hi, Harry. Has Kevin Roberts called you about Ulster County seeking reciprocity agreement with Orange County for electrical licensing for both counties to be,
Right, not me, but they may have reached out to Alicia D'Amico.
okay?
I'll ask her
Okay.
if they have.
Because he did call me speaking about what to do. I said, well, obviously call the county exec's office. So,
Yeah, I'll check it out.
okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 2 on our agenda, Dr. Christine Young, President, Orange County Community College, with Paul Martin, Vice President of Admin and Finance for Orange County Community College. Legislative request A is to request a supplemental appropriation to use capital chargeback funds to offset a funding shortage on previously approved county capital project CP 292-27197, bond resolution number 265 of 2001 of 12/2/21, which authorized $350,000 to replace HVAC equipment in Orange Hall. The project recently went out to bid, and the low bid was $559,000, leaving a shortage of $209,000. This request is to fund 1/2 of the shortage. The state of New York will provide the other half of the funds. This is legislative request number 065. May I have a motion and second?
So moved. Second.
Lujan and Sassy, the floor is yours and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Well, this one is fairly straightforward. As you all know, we have a lengthy and complicated capital approval process that has to go through the college's process, the county's process, and the state's process. So when we estimate these jobs, it's typically a couple of years before they actually happen. And in this case, the bids were consistent, or excuse me, the estimates were consistent with similar work done in other buildings at the time. But in the intervening 2 years, we have seen a dramatic increase in, as you know, in inflation in general, but in construction area was particularly hard hit. So this was the best we could do. It is a project that we do need to get done. So we thought this was the easiest way to make up the difference without having the whole burden borne by the college and the county.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman, I was glad to
Yes.
see that the state is at least coming up with half of that. I certainly appreciate that.
And this is, I should have also mentioned, this is a case where we're not asking for new money. This is utilizing the chargeback capital funds that we get from the other counties that you hold on our behalf. So there's no new money here.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just to lend to that, I know the COVID pricing and everything that's happened since then in construction and materials and shortages and so forth. The entire world is the US is seeing this right now. So I feel for you, I support you, and with that, may I have all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Thank you. Item B, preliminary status of the SUNY Orange budget. May I have a motion second? Lujan and Ramos, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, Chairman Nuda. So to be clear, this is not an action item today, and we appreciate you very much putting this on the agenda for the opportunity to have a conversation, an interactive time where it's not the summer, and there's no need to have to approve anything today because our budget is complicated. Not only does the county have a role to play, the state has a role to play. Our students, of course, have a role to play. Everyone's on a different fiscal year. And we have our own fiscal calendar and an academic calendar to boot. So it's complicated. So the opportunity to get to talk through the different parameters and inputs is important to us. So we hope this is interactive today. Paul is going to have the majority of the prompts today for conversation. He has the numbers, which I know will be exciting and spur most of the conversation. But for my part, I wanted to lead talking about enrollment, which of course is a major driver on our budget as well, and has always been a source of a lot of conversation, as in when you're going to get that enrollment up, which has been a problem not only for this college, but probably 99% of community colleges in the United States of America for the past decade or longer. So I'm proud to sit here today and say progress has been made. And behind me, unless I've been joined by more people, Tom Waddell is in the room, our vice chair. And one of Tom's many contributions to our board of trustees has been chairing our enrollment task force. That is a task force of the board of trustees. It is populated by not only trustees, but administrators, faculty, staff. It's a collective effort focusing obviously on enrollment. So credit Tom's leadership. One of the outputs of that committee is that we have a strategic enrollment plan that is following. It's tied to our strategic plan for the college as well. And so I want to credit our vice president for student services, Jerry Ampersati, as well for the day-to-day administration of that plan. So as I sit here today, our spring enrollment is up 4.5% as measured in FTE. That's full-time equivalent, which is how we traditionally have been getting paid. That may be changing right now on the state level, but that's a very important number to us. As of March 6th, that's how the most recent data I have, looking ahead to fall, we had 235 more applications for fall on March 6th than we did on March 6th last year. So this trend may be continuing. So what's going on in the background that we're seeing maybe a reversal of fortune. And as I lead into that conversation, I would remind you that what is enrollment, right? It's getting more students, new students in the door, right? Attracting students that we've seen for the first time, but it's also holding on to students we already have. It's both and. And increasingly for community colleges, keep in mind, those are credit students, but they are also non-credit students, what you would call maybe workforce development students. So you're going to hear a mixture of all of these things in my report. So one strategy you would be interested in is new programs, For programs where we have a limited number of seats, can we expand those seats? For community colleges, that's only going to fall into your competitive programs in the health professions for us. So right now, as I sit here, we are adding students to nursing. I'm sure as elected officials, you're always hearing my constituent did not get into the nursing program. What is happening? We got a grant from the SUNY system to be able to add nursing labs. And we chose the Newburgh campus. So with the next admission class, which would be December, it would be starting January 2024, we should be able to admit 24 additional students to that nursing class. So go through 2 cycles, that'll be 48 additional students in our nursing program for the college for a total of 48 students. With that same grant, we are studying whether we can move Rad Tech, X-ray technology program, could we move that program to Newburgh? That because there's space available. If that comes back with a yes, we would be able to expand the Rad Tech program by 50%, 12 additional seats in each admitting class, so that's 24 students. And right now we're working with our state elected officials for a possible major grant that would let us double the dental hygiene program. So those 3 programs, nursing, Rad Tech, dental hygiene, that's where we have log jams with more qualified students seeking admission than we have seats. So those are 3 places where we're trying to expand seats. We are also introducing for this coming fall a healthcare administration program that would not be selective admission. So we could take as many students as are interested in that. That speaks to like what's hot in Orange County right now. That would be a transfer oriented program. And this past fall, we introduced a web development program in our computer science and technology program. That's on the credit side. On the non-credit side, on the workforce development side, what is new is the farm tech program, pharmacy technology program that was through a grant that we won through SUNY. The interest for that, the interest section was fully subscribed. So that was very popular. Food tech, about, and of course, the cannabis program has attracted a lot of interest. That's all on the non-credit side. So those are all the new programs. Retaining students that we have, we won a federal grant about 2.5 years ago during the throes of COVID that is now maturing. That federal grant, Title V, is for Hispanic serving institutions. That's why we were eligible for the grant, but the proceeds of that grant can be used for all students. That has allowed us to really beef up our orientation session. So getting students who come in the door to get them acquainted with the college in a more robust, aggressive way, and their families as well. So connecting them to resources and assessing that we can show that that's making a difference. We have bought technology called Orange Connect. I could spend an hour telling you what that is, but if I could just drill it down to like all of our faculty, all of the students and the appropriate staff are always together on a platform, on an electronics platform. So you can think about like a student could raise their hand 24/7 and say like, I need help. I need to be connected to a resource of the institution. Faculty and staff are there live at any time to say like, yeah, you need a tutoring appointment. Let me connect you to that right away. It's just oversimplifying it, but that's what that is that we were able to get with that grant. It's also helping us design our first year experience course right now. Also, in the past couple years, a dramatic drop off in the use of what you would probably call our remedial courses, which I know has probably driven you nuts through time. We would call them developmental courses because, right, if you have an interest, I want to be an architect, fantastic. Let's put you in a course that's all about fractions. That will keep you interested, right? So that we have eliminated the vast majority of students being isolated in a remedial course. That is not to say that if you are not college level in math or English that you are being forgiven that. We've found a different way to get you the coursework and the skills you need while being co-enrolled in courses that you are interested in. And we now have the data to show that those students are staying in college, they're being successful in their college level courses. We're starting with English that has been going on longer. They are graduating. Our graduation rates are up as well. In terms of attracting new students to the college, we're working hand in glove with SUNY. Last year, we did some experimenting on our own about trying to admit students in Orange County high schools, right from Orange County High School to SUNY Orange. SUNY isn't like things. That's a fantastic idea. So SUNY is going to try to working with state ed to admit all high school grads into their local SUNY community college. That's a big lift, but they are working on it right now. So if this really works, everyone should be admitted directly to us from Orange County high schools. So we are working with SUNY and NICED on that right now. And there's also a kind of a companion program that if an Orange County resident is applying to another SUNY 4-year and is declined, so say someone, one of our residents is applying to SUNY Buffalo, let's say, and Buffalo says, no. Buffalo is supposed to be telling SUNY system that, and we're supposed to be getting that information so we can say, so sorry you didn't get into Buffalo's engineering program. We have an engineering program, please. How about being with us and try again in Buffalo next year or Buffalo 2 years from now? So that is all happening in conjunction with SUNY system. With another grant, we are getting a chat bot with admissions. So our admissions department is about to be open 24/7. I think that's starting next month. So a student will be able to talk with us anytime. We have an agreement with Amazon, Amazon, not just in Montgomery, but Amazon worldwide. Career choice program. So someone who's worked at Amazon for 90 days, I think it is 90 days, they can come to SUNY Orange and take essentially a semester's worth of classes. We picked up 19 students in spring, and we assume we will pick up many more as time goes on. And we also have the building hire program with Legoland New York. If someone works 3 days for Legoland this summer, but it has to be 2 of them, have to be on the weekend. They get 6 credit hours with us. And that's Legoland's way of trying to attract workers, but it's also very good for us. Finally, marketing. We have an intensive new, we've invested, again, thanks to the trustees behind me here, Ralph Martucci and Tom Waddell have encouraged us to invest more in marketing, and that is obviously paying off too. Have you seen our shuttle bus? It was finally out on the road this week. So a wrapped shuttle bus is one cool thing. We have a new customer relationship management system. So now you express interest in the school, we find out more about you, you get customized communications from us. So you're getting communications that should make you feel like the college is interested in you as well. You're not getting random messages about everything that's going on at the college. You're getting targeted communications. And hopefully last week you saw that we are a military-friendly institution at the silver level as well. So we have been military-friendly for the last 5 years, but now we're up to silver status, and that's something that we are working on. And of course, Mr. Waddell has challenged us. That's fine. How do we get to gold? So next year, I know I'm under orders to get to gold. So that is a quick tour de force of our recent developments on how we are. That explains the 4.5% that we expect more as we go forward. And you'll hear from Paul that's about our target for fall.
That's remarkable. And welcome, Mr. Waddell, Mr. Bartucci. This is a lot of information and really good information.
Thank you.
And I've been intrigued the entire time here. So thank you. Are there any questions? Legislator Badger.
Can you explain the chat bot? Is it like artificial intelligence when someone calls at 3:30 in the morning?
In the morning, yeah. So this is the company is called Ocelot. They've done a lot of, we are not their first rodeo. They've worked at a lot of other schools. So they have a catalog of very frequently asked questions for admission. So this is only for like our front-facing admissions, maybe. I don't think it's financial aid. I think it's just admissions. But what is a person likely to ask? We've pre-programmed about 80%. My understanding is it's just kind of pre-programmed from the company because it's kind of the same answer, whether you're SUNY Orange or Marist. And then the other 20%, we've worked on customizing what is our answer. And then when it gets to the point where, nope, we've exceeded what it would automatically know, then you're put into the queue to get a phone call or an email. And, you know, what I've had to reckon with is that the younger set very, very much understands that they're not interacting with a human at that point and are very comfortable with that, but they prefer that interaction and asking a question that way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Legislator Sassy.
Yes, 4.5 may seem like a small number relatively, however, it's a huge number for you because the numbers were down. And also, I just want to add, I believe with the exception of the Middletown School District, every school district has declining enrollment. So 4.5 is a huge number, if you look at it that way. So well done. And I appreciate a couple of your trustees being here. Back to the schools funneling into SUNY Orange. Is that just an automatic? They're graduating? I mean, the current process is they're applying. Can you just clarify that quickly?
So they'll be offered, it's automatic admission. The act of enrolling, of course, takes another step, right?
But they're automatic, they're in.
They,
Is that?
this is still being worked out by, this is SUNY is taking the initiative to work with NICEAD on what it all means.
I think it's terrific. I mean, that's a great feeder. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The message will be, are you a New York high school grad? There is a college seat waiting for you
Yeah.
in the state of New York. That's the
I like
message they're
that,
trying to
right?
get across.
That's great. Legislator O'Donnell.
Yeah, I'll stick on that. So we're gonna send a message to every graduate or a letter signed by you, maybe signed by the chair of the legislature. Congratulations on your graduation.
This is the piece we need to coordinate.
Automatically admits you to SUNY Orange, and if you're interested in SUNY Orange, go on this and enroll, something along those lines, and you have till 30 days, 60 days, whatever the case may be.
I understand your eagerness. I'm eager to understand what.
I'm not really crazy that the state does the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay?
No,
I don't know why I think like that.
I'm with, you remember last year, there's legitimate, maybe over exaggerated concerns about privacy, right? So the deal is that the state and NICEAD working it out. So I'm being patient to understand, right? Like, how does that all, but of course, we would all love to be able to celebrate it. And the more local, I think it feels, to your point, right? Like, let's have names that the student recognizes, the more meaningful it's gonna feel. But I suspect this is gonna be like the 11th hour and 59-minute running over to Chair Vanelli to say, can you sign this and make this meaningful for certain school districts? Yeah. Yeah.
Second thing is the 6 credits with the Legoland.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things all of us here are very proud of is that when you graduate from Orange County Community College, all your credits get accepted in most institutions. My concern with this is that it's going to lower the standards when our kids graduate. If they just get 6 credits for working 3 days.
Oh, that's
Well,
not what that means. I beg your pardon. As part of the benefits package for Legoland to attract workers, Legoland will pay for 6 credits at SUNY Orange. Yeah, yeah. So the student can choose what they wish to take.
Whatever they want.
Right.
And I believe,
They're not getting 6
They're not
credits.
just being paid for working the weekend.
No.
right, and yeah, I believe it's 3 days.
Explain it to my idiot.
Yeah.
all right?
I'll go get 6 credits for working on a weekend.
It's not just 3 days, it's an average of 3 days a week for the summer.
That's pretty generous.
Right.
Yeah. Good for them to do that.
Holy
Thanks for the
I
clarification.
thought Amanda was the only one that gave them millions of dollars.
Yeah, there it is.
She was just like, she said, mind her good business.
You know that was coming. Look how much we get back.
It's all right.
Sit behind me, you say.
Yeah.
No one wants to sit next to me, so
Yours is fine.
thank you for clarifying.
I can explain it differently.
Anyone else? Excellent. Thank you for the invitation. Well, thank you for responding to the invitation from last year to come in early. This is a much better format. I think it gets the information out there much earlier where we're all in the loop. Yeah, that's right.
So I'll take over with I believe you should all have a copy of this presentation. It's really designed to just sort of update the group where we are relative to this year's budget. And as you know, our fiscal year runs until August 31st. And then where we are in the planning process for next year's budget. And also, this is in direct response to your invitation last year. And one of the things that was stressed at that meeting, and it made perfect sense, was you'd like to hear how we're doing before we make a tuition decision. And you'd like to have some input into the tuition decision. So the timing is appropriate because the tuition decision gets made at the board meeting in April. So it's coming up. But at this point, when we talk about next year's budget, we're not here with a proposal. We're not here saying this is what we want to do. We're only in the beginning, well, not the beginning, but say the first third of the budget creation process at the college. But it's really to give you an idea of where we are, what the factors are that we're looking at, and what the levers are that we have to pull that can get us to a balanced budget. So that's where we're headed, and I'll try to be quick because I know you do have a lengthy agenda today. So the first page is just what we're talking about, key elements for the budget for this year, how we're doing against the budget, most importantly, what the projected fund balance will be at the end of this fiscal year, where we are in the new budget development process. And just for interest, I think it's good to understand what a 1% change in various things means. A 1% change in tuition, what does that translate into in revenue? A 1% change from the state, what does that transfer into in revenue? So we'll talk about that. We'll just give a one slide about how we might get to a balanced budget with the levers that I mentioned. And then at the end, we did have another portion of this presentation, but due to length, we decided we would beg your indulgence to come back and talk about a new model for IT equipment funding that I'll just comment on briefly at the end. We'll bring our CIO back at the next meeting if that works well for everybody. Okay, just a reminder for this year's budget, the assumptions were 100% of state support from the previous year, which is better than, a 2% lower floor that had been in place. It still doesn't address the disparity that we feel exists with state funding, but it was a step in the right direction. As you are aware, you generously gave us a 3% increase in county support. We had a 3% tuition increase. We projected flat enrollment for the year, and we projected the use of 6.2 million in HERF funds, the federal funds. And naturally, we had to account for all the contractual salary increases that would have occurred that year. And we knew utilities were going to be a problem. So going in, those were the major things we were thinking about. The budget that we created and that you folks approved broke down on the revenue side, tuition and fees 32.9%, your support 31.1%, state support 20.1%, HERF funds 9.8%, chargeback from the other counties at about 4.6%, and then a few miscellaneous other columns totaling a small 1.5%. What you don't see here is grant funds, and the reason we don't put them in here is it's a wash in all cases, so whatever comes in is going out per the terms of the grant, so they don't aid the college's operating budget particularly. The expense side, you know the story, 82.1% is personnel and benefits. So salary and benefits are the huge driver of our expense side. Contract services, that's everything else. That's not just that we're using third-party contracts, but it's materials that we buy, instructional supplies, utilities, everything else except people is in that line item. The good news is, after 6 months, we are ahead of budget. The year-to-date revenues were net about 491,000 above our budget. It's primarily due to the enrollment increase that Dr. Young mentioned. We also began an investment in treasury notes this year and are going to generate about $400,000 in interest income off of those compared to what would have been, sitting in a savings account at a very minimal rate of interest. So that was a good thing. We're continuing to do that. At this point, we have about 20 million that we've invested in that way, and it's worked out very well so far. We also had FEMA. We had applied for some emergency funding after COVID struck. And it's a lengthy process to go through, but eventually the money appears, and both of our requests got approved and the money appeared in the last few months. $28,000 for a small project and 147 was for a massive cleaning project that was undertaken at the very beginning of COVID campus-wide. So those funds came in, and we had not budgeted for those because under the rules with FEMA, you can't budget for the revenue until you know the grant has been awarded or the amount has been awarded. And so we didn't get that notification until after this budget cycle started. So that's extra money, which was good. On the expense side, we're 368,000 below budget, and that's primarily due to salary and benefit savings from unbudgeted vacancies, more than offsetting the huge increase that we had in retiree health insurance. And we also, even though we budgeted more for utilities, the actual utilities costs were higher than what we had budgeted. So we're projecting an end of the year bottom line of $860,000 to the good, which is about 1.4% above the break-even budget. That number could increase. We have some funding from the HERF funds that we had put in the budget as a method of investing in some equipment for sustaining the college going forward. Given the outlook for next year, we may choose not to expend those funds. We may let them drop to the bottom line into the fund balance to help us with next year's issue. So that number could be anywhere from where it is just slightly below 900,000 to around $1.5 million in the black, depending on what we do with those monies. And I don't want to commit anything at this point. You know, we've still got 6 months to go. So if anything crazy comes up, we'd have a buffer to deal with it. So what does that leave us? That would leave us with a fund balance at the end of this fiscal year, August 31st, of somewhere between 7.6 and 8.2 million, depending on what we do with those HERF funds. So the good news is that has built up over the last few years in anticipation of a rainy day. And the bad news, as you can imagine, is that the rainy day is approaching as the federal funds spigot gets turned off. So let's talk about where we are in the college budget process. We had the preliminary discussions with the Audit and Finance Committee of our board last week. This step, as you all know, is a new step, but I hope it will become an annual step, that we'll have this conversation at this time each year. Hopefully we'll understand what's going on at the state budget by April 1st. I don't know how realistic that is, but at some point we will know what we're getting from the state. Tuition needs to be approved at the April meeting. The college budget in its glory gets approved in the May meeting of the Board of Trustees. And then, as you know, your auditors look at our projections for the year and our budget for the coming year during June and July. And then we have the meeting with them and the committees, and then the budget gets approved at the legislature. And then finally, in mid-August, it goes to SUNY. And then at the end of September, the SUNY Board of Trustees gives their final blessing. So that's the whole process. But as I said, the key thing here is this meeting being different and I think very helpful. So what are the challenges for 23-24? We're not going to have 6.2 million of HERF funds. So that's going to impact us. You know, that's a direct correlation to the bottom line. We also have contractual salary increases of approximately $1 million that need to be accounted for. And then just in inflation on the non-personnel budget side, as you know, has been running extremely high. We have to take into account that. It's such a common occurrence, I forgot to put it on here, but one of the great question marks is always health insurance costs. And last year, you know, as you know, we got hit hard. Much harder than anybody budgeted for. So we always have to keep those in mind. Some mitigating factors, though, you know, our target is break even, not the 900 to $1.5 million that we're going to end up in the black this year. So we don't have to make that piece up per se. We also have a history of unbudgeted departures. And what do I mean by that? After the budget is approved, we find out that people are leaving, retiring, and we don't necessarily have to fill those slots, or if we do fill them, we are typically, it's a senior level faculty person, for example, retiring at a full professor's salary, and we're replacing with an instructor at the instructor level. So there's significant savings even if we fill the position. And our research shows that that is roughly $1 million each year. I don't know who the people will be, but I'm pretty confident that there will be those people. We have the ability to manage the vacancy replacement process. And I know this is always a discussion we have when we have our budget meeting in July with your auditors. As we sit here, there are 49 vacancies at the college. And normally, these are 49 positions that normally we would have in the budget for next year. But given what we're dealing with, we have 15 of those 49 that we're proceeding with as we sit here, because the process is already well underway and they're necessary jobs. The remainder are all on some form of hold while President Young and my fellow vice presidents and I, along with the board, work through how much savings we have to get from the vacancies. And you'll see in a subsequent slide what we're projecting. But we will be judicious in what we do between now and the end of this year, because those positions will last into next year. So as I said, there's 49 and we will not fill any of them without President Young, myself, and the other two vice presidents being in agreement that we need to go forward. So more to come on that as we get into the process. And then we can always manage contract services costs, better. So we are efforting that. And the aforementioned fund balance projection. So how are we going to get there? If we're, looking at a pretty sizable gap at this point. Well, all the stakeholders are going to have to contribute. The college is going to have to get by with less. We're going to have to trim expenses and actively pursue grant opportunities that might help the cause. The board is, authorizing the use of some of that fund balance money, as was stated at our meeting last week. We built it up for this purpose. So this is a time that it can get some use. The state needs to do something more. As you all know, we very much appreciated your resolution of support for community college funding that went through. And the One House bills, I may not be referring to them as the right title, but both of them include language that not only supports the floor, but builds in the floor. So that would be great if that passes. And I'm not enough of a political prognosticator to have any idea whether it will or it won't. But my sense is if both houses are asking for something will probably be there. It may not be the floor, but maybe it'll be better than what we've seen in the past. So we will keep an eye on that, and we'll certainly alert you when we know the answer. Sadly, we are going to be looking to you folks. I don't know a number at this point, but I think at the very least to offset contractual salary increases, particularly on the CSEA side, which is negotiated at the county level, and to temper the impact of inflation a bit, but we will try to be as reasonable as we can in our proposal when the time comes. Obviously, the huge driver of all of this is enrollment. If enrollment keeps going at 4.5%, 5% or better, every bit that it's better is less that we have to look for from other areas. So that is key. And then, of course, tuition. We don't want to put this problem on the backs of students, but on the other hand, it may well turn out that the students are going to need to contribute in some way as well. So here's where I thought it would be good to just go through what are the impact of these changes on these levers that we have. 1% change, and you can see the numbers there. Enrollment's about 185,000. Tuition is 180. Your support's 196,000. On the expense side, 1% increase in salaries is 320,000. The benefits piece is a little bit problematic. I put 183,000. That's 1% of the total benefit budget that we have. But there are so many components to the benefit budget and they don't all move together. So this is really just sort of a reminder that whatever the cost increase is on the salaries, there's going to be a benefit increase, depending what it is, we'll see. And going back to CSEA, just for comparison, a 1% increase in CSEA salaries at the college with benefits is about $80,000 a year. And I believe it was scheduled for this year, but I believe it was a 3%, might have been 3.25%, but I think it was 3%. And their new contract is under negotiation as we speak. So with that all said, how might we get to a break-even budget? And again, I repeat, this is not a proposal. This isn't a time to say this is what we need. We have a lot of work to do to narrow this down. But, you know, enrollment, we can keep it going up with another 4%. Tuition, the county and the state, if we can all get those in the 2 to 4% area, or some higher and some lower. Trimming the department budget requests, we've already done that piece. The $1 million in unbudgeted departures. The vacancy management of 1.7 million. Out of those 49 positions, we'd need roughly, depending on the level of the job, 17, 18, 19, something like that, individuals with that we wouldn't fill those vacancies for salary and benefits, and that would give us that number. And then we would look at using $2.5 to $3 million of the fund balance to get us to break even after all those other things were done. So what's the weight going to be? Which ones are we going to do in what direction? A little too early to tell, but I just wanted to show you that these are the levers we have to play with. And we will do a variety of scenarios as we're putting it together, and whatever we end up proposing, we will certainly, bring to your attention as quickly as we can. The outlook for the following year, it's going to be pretty much the same pressures. We may not have the ability to use that much of fund balance the following year. Enrollment will be the key. If we do get the enrollment continuing to increase, that gets us to where we need to go. If we don't, we would need that year to be looking at employment levels at the college because of the collective bargaining agreements that we deal with. To make changes in employment levels in the fall of 2024, there's a whole bunch of things we have to do in advance prior to doing that under the two contracts. And those actually have to start this summer. So we're going to be going through a process where we'll be working with our unions to do these things that we might have to do in advance, even though we may not ultimately need to adjust employment levels. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting walk with the unions, but they're aware of the issue, and the leadership of both unions have agreed that we need to talk through how this would work. So I don't want you to think that we're not looking at this in the longer run, but it is a lengthy process. So I'll hold off on the IT piece for now. Questions for me on any of this in general, and any thoughts you have about tuition would be great.
Legislator Sassen.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just a comment, and I'm going to have to excuse myself. If we go back to page 4, I've served in the legislature previous to these two terms, and I'm very proud that both sides of the aisle, bipartisan, have been very generous to the college. And I think we're all on the same page. We're happy to do it. But if you look, and I want to point it out to the public if you're listening, that the state continues to fall woefully short. And how shameful that is. Because if you lose your HERF, which you're going to, I mean, we're already supporting a 7 million. We're doing our 1/3. The state is not. And they continue not to come to the table. We've got elected officials attacking the IDA. They should be attacking this if they're genuinely interested in helping our community college and students to become educated. But if you lose that HERF, you've got a nice little healthy fund balance now, but that's going to be wiped out, as Paul had mentioned, pretty quickly. But those numbers speak for themselves. We're doing ours and then some, where the state continues year after year to leave you holding the bag and basically rubbing the eagle off a quarter year in and year out. It's shameful. Thank you.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Members for being here as well. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? I only have one question. Thank you very much for the presentation. Extremely informative. What's the break-even point in enrollment? How many students do we have to break even so the college is just functioning? And if you don't have that now, let's come back to that.
Well, with the numbers you saw there, let's round up a little bit. Each 1% is $200,000. So if 5% is $1 million, and we're talking about multiple millions that would be in the hole. We would need to get back to where we were prior to the decline that started just before COVID. So we'd be looking at 20 to 25% increase if we were going to put it all on enrollment.
What does that look like in numbers roughly?
1,000,
1,000 students.
is that about right? Might be
More than that. That's 1,000 FTE.
FTE, yeah.
Yeah, so the head count,
would be higher.
yeah, so that would be 1,000 students that all want to be full-time.
And if we were to do that, we could accommodate all those students in our buildings, yes?
Yes, that would get us to numbers that we previously were at. On the academic side of the house, we might have to increase. I don't know.
Depends on what they wanted to take. If they don't
Yeah.
want to take nursing, we're doing it.
Well, we know they all want to take nursing. That's the biggest, that's the biggest.
Facilities
thing
wise,
there.
we'd be
Yeah.
okay. Whether we had the right faculty and whatnot in place would be another matter.
And my other question, the traditional workforce, traditional FTE versus workforce FTE, do they pay the same dollar amount per credit?
So if it's all credit, doesn't matter what program they're in, it's all the same
Okay.
tuition.
So we can look at them essentially the same from a monetary standpoint.
Only if they're taking the credit classes. Some of the programs that are designed for workforce development are non-credit programs, so they are charged differently than, it's not a per credit fee. So the good news is we have the ability to price those at market rates, if there is such a thing. And
If there is news to me, I'd have to have you.
yeah, I'm just going back from a previous experience. We were able to charge rates higher than we were charging for the credit side at my previous institution for some non-credit certificate programming because it was in such demand by the manufacturers in the area. But that's an unusual situation. Don't quote me that that's what we're going to be.
Fair enough. I appreciate the
But if
discussion.
something's not credit, there's no federal financial aid, there's no state TAP available. So while you're able to do that, the student generally doesn't have the resources to pay for it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So one of the questions that.
Yes, sir.
Waddell.
Yes.
The question, one of the questions I have, and I'm always concerned about, is the tuition. In the next month, and then actually the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have to make some kind of decision on where the tuition goes. So last year, we tried to be fair that we were asking 3% from the county, we were gonna ask the same 3% from the students. But if you look at our tuition, we're on the higher end, we're in the top end of this, as our tuition to go to them. So I would like to know where the legislature feels that the tuition, what's a fair number for a community college for tuition increase. State of New York, SUNY is saying that if they want a 6% increase in tuition, a 6% increase in tuition here would be a big number to push down to a lot of our students that are just not going to come at that kind of an increase. They're just not going to be there. We don't want to lose them. I mean, they may go to Ulster, they may go to Sullivan, they may go to Dutchess, but I mean, that becomes our issue. But where do we put the tuition? And, there's not many knobs to dial, tune up or tune down here as to how do we keep this really going and I'm looking for feedback from how you all feel where tuition could possibly be, what it should be. What would you be looking for? I mean, Sullivan County, last year, they gave $1.3 million away in free tuition, okay, to students in Sullivan County. They're a little different situation than we're in, but again, where do we go with this tuition number that you feel comfortable with? I know where I feel comfortable with, almost make it free to students, but that's never gonna happen. So how do we make it fair? That's the thing that I'm looking for. And all stakeholders around the table, I really want to hear from what they all want to know. I want to know what the faculty thinks. I want to know what the board of directors thinks. I want to know what the legislature thinks. I want to know what everybody thinks. What would be fair to the students that are part of Orange County.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'll take that under advisement to the legislature, so that we can have that as a question posed and come back at a later date with an answer. Obviously, we're here working as partners with you in this. So to that extent, I'd like to see what you're going to propose. It sounds to me from our discussions today, the tuition and break-even points clearly the driver is attendance for the drivers' FTEs. There's a lot of other factors I know, not something we're gonna answer today, but let's continue this conversation. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Legislator Lujan, I believe you had a question?
It was just a comment, Mr. Chairman, and I think we're going to be discussing this more at length at a later meeting. But I will say this, I am so happy and so enthusiastic to see these numbers. 4% is very, very significant. And it's the great work that you all done in college. But the reality is increasing that tuition is going to make us less competitive. That's something that definitely concerns me. I think about my constituents, particularly in the city of Newburgh. My district is 30,000 people, 6,000 people live under the poverty line. I want to make sure that those individuals who live in my community, that they're able to go to college. That's going to be a huge detriment if you increase and make it more difficult for them too. So I would absolutely not support it. We're not, definitely prefer not to see an increase in any way for tuition. And going back to Legislator Sassy's point, I totally agree. The state needs to do a better job of embracing or supporting us. But at the same time, I don't want to put it on the back of our students. Our students are already struggling. They're already struggling to pay for utilities, they're struggling to pay for rent, they're struggling to pay for all these different factors in their lives. Adding, more tuition is not the answer.
And you bring that up, how much the college has to deal with those issues with our students, that we really get involved and really try to find resources for them to pay their rent, to pay for the transportation also. They really try. We're involved in the front line. We know exactly what this work is.
And I just end with this point. I was so happy with when you mentioned that you actually had a program that was specifically for emergencies for students. I just wanted to say that was so powerful that when I first heard it, because it really shows that you are taking a deep interest in the lives of your students and making sure that they feel that they're part of the community. And that is, again, the kind of leadership that we need and how we keep them, but not raising tuition.
Thank you. Thank you. Recognize County Executive Newhouse.
I'll just be real quick. I was watching this in the office, but I think the answer to the question to the legislature, we don't want tuition high at all.
No.
And I think that OC is doing a great job. SUNY Orange, Doctor, I didn't mean to come and rain on your parade, but we have some phenomenal opportunities coming to Orange County this year. A lot of Fortune 500 companies that we've been meeting with over the last 3 or 4 months that may or may not pick Orange County, but I think we are in a pole position to get them. And they couple all their employment with education. And there's other companies out there like Microsoft and Google that will come in and run the whole program in these SUNY schools. And they're doing this around the country right now. So if we can land one of these high-tech major companies, it can happen. But I will tell you, I just got off the phone with NISAC. The budget in Albany is chaos. The reason why we're talking about money is because New York State has failed for decades to make their commitment to the school districts, to the SUNY school system in particular. We are carrying the load and the students are carrying the load. And New York State is getting away with murder. The budget that the Senate just proposed last week is $5 billion higher than the governor's. They don't have the money. And they're going to rest on us. Jimmy, you know the story. They're going to rest on the counties and they're going to crucify this. So I think we got to continue to band together. I think we need to continue to work with SUNY on different type of creative solutions. I think the thing with Legoland is great. It's awesome. But I think we have better opportunities that are really coming down the pike. Again, Orange County is in a great spot, guys. I am super proud of some of the opportunities we have in front of us. And if we marry these new companies with this educational component, look at what some of you guys were up in Albany when we met with, what was the company I keep misremembering? Micron. And again, I'm telling you, those caliber companies are coming here. You know what they do? They partner with the local high schools and the local SUNY schools and marry their employees. So you're gonna have 20,000 new employees that are gonna be rolling into that. And it's part of a local educational program. And these are jobs that we want our kids to work at. So I'm just saying, like, I heard, like, I know they were asking you, Mr. Chairman, what is a good tuition? We want lower tuition as possible. That's what all 21 of my legislators and I have one goal is as low as possible. Because like you said, Mr. Lujan, we need them to be as approachable and easy for everybody to access education. So again, I think we got great programs. I am deeply concerned about the state budget. The way we left it off today on our NISAC call earlier this morning and one just now is that this is going to be settled in a room in the last wee hours like they do in Albany. But we need to make sure that SUNY Orange and County Orange are not left behind, because at the end of the day, a lot of people suffer for it. So I'll shut up. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you for chiming in. Legislator O'Donnell.
Thank you. Thanks for coming to the meeting. Appreciate your remarks. They're always on point and perfect for what we're talking about. Especially with the IDA coming to the table later, which I know they have $13 million, so we should get them in the mood with ARC and the companies that you're talking about, and see if they can put some money on the table for the educational pieces of the workers they need and marry that together. I don't know if that's legal, but it's something that deserves to be discussed. They have the money. It's a great tool to attract these companies that you're trying, and the workforce piece is a huge part of it. So let's get together, the legislature, the county exec, ARC, and the IDA, and see if we can put a program together that helps you enhance the package that you can put together for these companies that are
And
coming.
then I agree with Jimmy, because first, like Bill's doing, I think, a great job with the IDA, and I think they cleaned it up. We've talked about this earlier, talked with a number of people today. It's definitely a different place. But you guys have sole oversight over the IDA. But I think to what County Legislator O'Donnell's saying is, when you come in here and you get incentives, in exchange for those incentives, if you do get incentives, how about marry with our local educational? And Dr. Young and I have been talking about this for years as well. But you get them at the table when they're interested, because once they're under construction, you never see them again. And there's nothing wrong with that. They have a job to make a business, but any of those commitments, you're not going back on if you didn't make them early on.
I agree. And we've always been there at the end of the day and supported it, right? It was very good of you, Tom, to try to get a number out of us today. But Manuda's too smart for you, right? So, but we're gonna be there at the end of the day.
Thank you.
We know you guys will come in with as low a number as you possibly can. But our end, we always want to compare it to what's going on in the surrounding community. And we'll continue to put pressure on the state. We're doing everything we can, but like the county exec said, unbelievably, the Senate comes in with a budget higher than Hope, which is crazy. That's why people are, they're not leaving by the busload, they're leaving by the train, the boat, the plane. They can't get out of New York fast enough, right? And this place used to be everybody attracted to come here. When I was the chief of police in the MTA, one of the things I loved doing at lunchtime is walking up and down Madison Avenue. I would hear 5 or 6 different foreign languages of the people that would come here and visit. And they come here, and many of them stay like my father, like your parents,
Yes.
right? They come here for that opportunity. And part of it is the education piece. I don't know if you saw Rocco Camiso on 60 Minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
But he talked about the American dream, and he said my story wouldn't happen anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Nowhere else in the world except here. And where did he stay? Orange County. So this place is booming. We're all working great together, but let's put the IDA, us, in the room and figure out how we can make it even better.
So if I could, one, I'll work with Bill Fioravanti any day of the week. Two, do you remember, our engineering students went to the national level, competed, was one of the top 12 teams in the community colleges, competing with the, who are they? The National Science Foundation last year. So get Micron and our engineering students at the table. They'll do whatever you need them to do.
They
to
cannot,
do that,
I'm
right?
telling,
So, and these guys are gonna kill me if I don't tell you that we've raised tuition the past 2 years in a row, so we don't wanna do that.
I know the legislators and I are excited because we have a diverse portfolio of employers in this county, great medical providers, hospitals. We have all sorts, we have the entertainment with the tourism that Amanda can talk to in Lakeland.
Yep.
But tech is what everybody wants.
Yep.
And Onondaga is way the heck up there in Syracuse, and they're great. The county executives up there, they did a wonderful job landing that. You know how long that pilot is? Anybody take a guess how long that pilot? Do not say anything, Fioravanti. We're gonna take a guess, county legislators. 50 years.
Oh.
You're being like, yeah, Jimmy, if you know, you're not supposed to ask. It's like, yeah.
That's my idea.
But I'm just telling you that the job, we are so close to this big market of people that are looking to get out and not go back to work or work locally and have a better quality of life. That's why we're getting people knocking on doors. I'd love to take credit because They like to see me, or they like to see Jimmy, or some of our other team members, or Bill. It is where we are geographically located that makes us so poised for success. But we could also lose that opportunity too, very simply. So let's keep working on it. I mean, definitely with you, Christine, anytime.
We got this.
Well, we haven't lost you yet. This kind of keeps forging ahead, and I think others need to take a look at what we got. We're down what percentage? 7.2% on sale.
We have the lowest property
Yeah.
tax since 1963.
Yeah.
This isn't in my state county address. The reason why we don't have records that go back earlier than that. So, and that's because of our sales tax. McCary took them with him. But I'm honestly playing somewhere in a cabin. But literally the county's really in great shape, and that helps a lot of our residents. I'm sure you guys have heard this. It's reflected in their tax bill. I take my house, I have a very modest house in Chester. That tax bill went down because of our work efforts. So that is real relief to taxpayers and families in this county. So, thank you, Doctor. Sorry.
Thank
Sorry
you
to hijack your
all.
meeting.
Keep up the good work. We got a long agenda of us.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Appreciate it.
Just mention about our basketball team. Yeah,
Basketball team, they are seated.
How do we do?
They are seated sixth in the tournament. They are they should be in Illinois at this point. They play on Wednesday. We can say, yeah, their first game's on Wednesday. We can send you the link. They're up against Scottsdale, Arizona. They're
They
gonna
only
be,
know how to play golf.
they're guaranteed 2 games, but they're already in the Sweet 16. Oh, nice. Yeah, in their national tournament.
Congrats. It's wonderful news.
Yeah, we'll send you the link. You can watch them online streaming. It's fantastic. So
Thank
they're
you all.
all the first 7 people are all Orange County graduates. Yep.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye. All right, want to take a breath? We good? All right. We have Amanda Dana from Tourism, Tourism Director, coming for a quarterly update. Everybody take a nice deep breath. It was a big, long session. Maybe get up and stretch.
Oh, yeah. Yes, thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you.
welcome, welcome. Do I need a call for this? No, thank you. Just an update. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is going to get it up. And Rachel will be presenting with me today, Rachel Carr.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Excited to be here.
Floor's yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having us. So we're going to skip ahead to our agenda. And today, quickly, we are going to talk about just spring overall, year over year, tourism updates, marketing updates, some print media, public relations strategies, data and analytics, and some events to look forward to going into 2023. So welcome spring. Today is the first day of spring, everyone, and it is certainly glorious out there. So get out there and do some things outside. Did everyone know today's the first day of spring?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. We're just going to compare the 2 years, looking at a little bit of data. Okay, so if you can see from the screen, comparing 2022 to 21, we'll start with our occupancy tax, which is often called bed tax. We were up 19.6% as compared to 2021, which was wonderful news. $6.3 million is collected in bed tax for 2022, which was amazing results. Sales tax collection for 2022 was up compared to 2021 by about not by about, but according to the controller's office, 7.7%. And January is trending at a 5% increase in sales tax for 2023 as it compares to 2022. So let's talk a little bit about our staff and where we are. We're going to keep that screen up there for a second because we really are excited about that program. But just so you know, we had a temp clerical position, wonderful young person, Maya Hebard. She was in that role for about 2 months. She has graduated and went to Disney. So she is leaving us. She is a wonderful person. She has a lot of sound engineering in her background, but she was quite the asset, not only for tourism, but also for the film office, which Nora, I'm sure, really appreciated that extra set of hands. And she was incredibly gifted when it came to social media and doing all that kind of stuff. I have visuals in the package, so I'll just keep moving. So up on the screen right now, that is one of our initiatives that is supported by our county executive, that we will be starting an OCMY welcome wagon. What is a welcome wagon? That is a group of our volunteers working with the Office for the Aging. That we were working with them to come together with some volunteers for tourism and hospitality that will be doing things such as welcoming new companies, going to ribbon cuttings, going to our farmers markets, perhaps even going and greeting flights when they come into Stewart. And they will be our picture of our welcoming committee. And we're really looking forward to doing that. We're actually going to be starting branding that, and we'll be calling them our Wagoneers. So this would be Orange County Wagoneers, and we're hopefully going to be launching that by May of this year. We're really excited about that program, and it really is needed. And not only for our seniors, but we really do need this service and need this this type of activity in our county. And we'll be having some seniors out there greeting some of our guests. Okay, so we are also excited that I'll get to that in a second, but we're excited that we are going to be looking over the tests. We had in November, we had a tourism assistant civil service test given, and hopefully we will be getting the results of that in the next quarter, and hopefully hiring one more tourism assistant that will be largely responsible for doing a lot of the external activities, marketing initiatives out there, trade shows, farmers markets, you name it. Okay, so up on the screen right now, we have been looking at some various platforms to see where we are with Traveler Insights and where are we going. And I'm so happy to hear that in the Expedia Group Travel Report that our international travel is expected to recover in Q3 and Q4. That's compared to 2019 numbers. Originally, Expedia had said that they were not expecting this to happen until well into 2024. So we are ahead of the schedule according to Expedia. Also, there's a new trend going on called flexication. Has anyone heard of that term now? It's being used largely in our tourism circles. And it's not a vacation where you're going to be in yoga. No, it's not that. But what it is there's so many still remote workers out there that they're planning their trips around, because they can work anywhere in theory. So they're now planning their trips around where they want to be, and they're extending their stays. And it's called flexication. 28% of the travel consumers surveyed said that they will definitely be taking flexication trips this year. So it's a new term. You're going to be hearing that a lot. And also another trend that's happening right now is that folks and travelers are looking to go places that really don't offer a lot. Imagine that. They want to just do nothing in their vacation. So I can kind of relate to that, but also it's one thing they've been talking a lot, and for Expedia has been talking a lot about people who want to go and just do absolutely nothing. But let's see how that goes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about sports tourism. I know I've talked about that a lot over the last couple of years, but in 2023, we're going to see another uptick in sports tourism, particularly Fowler Field in Middletown. In 2023, they have a very aggressive schedule of events coming in. Over 2,000 overnights will be booked just from about four tournaments that are coming in. The Special Olympics of New York is coming in June to Fowler Field. We will again have the New York State Public High School Track and Field Championship, which is the larger of all these events as far as bringing people in and overnights. We'll also see the soccer semifinals and the Section 9 football semifinals in November. All of those combined will be about 2,000 overnight rooms, plus all the other economic activity that comes with that, from restaurants and gas stations and spending all over. So it's really a big hit. So because of all these things happening there, we just said, why don't we put our toes in the water and talk a little to the town of Walk Hill and see if there's any way, shape, or form we can put together some type of expense reimbursement or mechanism in place. And we've been talking with them about somehow working it with their occupancy tax for the extra tax collected with the town of Walk Hill. We're just talking now, it devils in the details, but we're trying to see if we can get some type of expense reimbursement for some of these facilities that are spending a tremendous amount to get these activities and tournaments here, but they're not necessarily seeing the rewards because the rewards are actually going to the community. Blue Sky Sports Complex has announced 13 tournaments coming in 2023. And just so you have a bearing on what that means, one of the last tournaments in the fall, they had 400 overnights just for a weekend. So that's really a big impact on the community. Okay, so Stewart International, we are working actively with them. I am part of a Stewart expansion committee where we are looking to entice either more routes or more airlines coming into Stewart. And it's not as easy as you may think. So we're constantly sending out support letters for various airlines that are looking to Stewart. And a lot of times these airlines put Stewart on their Department of Transportation application. But then when it comes down to signing, sometimes they go to another airport. So we're hoping to keep them when they list Stewart in their application, stay in Stewart. And there's a lot of reasons why. We just finished a survey to the Hudson Valley stakeholders, and that survey the results will be here very shortly, but it's definitely something we're paying attention to, and we'd like to encourage more airlines to come. There is a good news out there that there is one airline that is looking to us, an international airline from the Caribbean, direct flights, and hopefully that'll be something we talk more about next time I meet with you.
Hope so.
Okay, so the next thing we're gonna talk about is the municipal tourism grants, which we launched this year. We had our first meeting on February 15th. We had 9 municipal applications come in. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry if you can't see that. I'm on this committee with Steve Gross, who's in the room, Emerson Williams from Holiday Inn Express, Todd Hewlett from the Arts Council, and Heather Bell from the Chamber. We're on this committee and we're looking over these applications. I want to give a big shout out to Lisa in the room, who has done a tremendous job on this for us administratively, keeping us all organized, and it's been wonderful to work with her on this. We have received 9 applications so far, and we've approved 4. There's 5 that are conditionally approved. We just needed a little more detail on their application. A lot of times we're looking for how are you going to spend that money on marketing engagements, and those will be coming to us shortly. We're having another meeting actually on Wednesday with more submissions. Okay, at this time, I want to turn it over to some marketing updates from Rachel.
Okay, so we will start with our digital marketing. And for digital, 2 of our most impactful campaigns are Google AdWords and our digital display campaign. This is just so important because right now so many people turn to technology for recreation and access of information. This is the first year that we are going to be running the campaign from start to finish, from January to December. And that's because of our 4 seasons extra spend that we have. So that's very exciting. This is also one of the ways that we're able to track, really, see how our marketing is working. And the industry standard is about 6% for a conversion rate from looking at one of our either our AdWords or our digital displays, and then clicking on it and going over to our website. And we every month are operating well above that, normally around like 10%. So by this year being able to do this for the full year, we should really see some great results from that. And because we are coming up on our popular seasons, we're starting a few of our other campaigns. So YouTube will be starting this April. And last year was the first year that we started a YouTube campaign. And this is also really important because YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine. So this will be vital to us. And also now you're able to see any of the ads on YouTube. You're able to see those in Google search results. So if you're searching on Google and you scroll through, there's a section on there now that has reels and shorts from YouTube. So we were really busy this year. Since January, we've been to 2 consumer trade shows. You'll see in January, we went to the Travel and Adventure Show in New York City. And then Lisa and I just went to the Philadelphia Flower Show. This is an opportunity for us to interact with consumers one-on-one and kind of just create that foundation and give them the idea of what Orange County has to offer. We interact with a lot of people. It might be hard to see, but on the attendance summary for the Travel and Adventure Show, we had 21,000 people show up in that 2-day event. So it was a ton of talking and distributing marketing materials. And we do have 2 giveaways. One we do for Play Airline and one is a 4-pass for Legoland. And when people sign up and enter into the giveaway, they also give us the right to include them in our email blast, which we send out once a week. So with these 2 shows alone, we have just added 1,700 people to our e-blast list.
And how large is that e-blast list?
Just talked about
It's
it.
about 8,000.
Okay, thank you.
So that's a huge increase.
I'm sorry?
That's a huge increase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Excellent.
actually cleaned it up. Lisa went through it with us and we cleaned it up and it's 8,000 viable people that get our
Yes.
e-blasts.
And so also, earlier this month, Amanda went to the New York State Tourism Advocacy Forum. And she was there in support of several budget items, including increasing the matching funds budget, increasing the film tax credit that can be offered, and the Airbnb regulations. And so next month, we're going to be attending the NYSTIA Tourism Conference, and this will be a good source of information gathering for us. And then the following month, Amanda will be going down to Florida for IPW?
San Antonio.
Oh, San Antonio. So we're busy and staying active. So we will again be doing a TV commercial. Last year was the first time that we had launched a broadband 30-second commercial in the New York City Metropolitan DMA. And we will be doing it again this spring. We are going to also focus on our top destinations, which is just going to stay consistent with the awareness and recognition that we've been creating. And that will also launch on ABC and CBS. And we will be doing another one in fall, for the fall, which will air in late August.
And it probably won't be the top destinations one. It's going to be one of our videos we've been working on. So.
Yes. Okay, so social media. This is also another big area for us. We have a really strong Facebook following. When I started in June of last year, we had 24,000 followers, and right now we have 39,000. So it's a huge increase since in a short amount of time. And we do have a follow campaign, and that will be launching again at the beginning of April. We're going to do a follow campaign to increase our followers, and also a craft beverage campaign. Something that we're going to focus on more this year is a stronger push to increase our Instagram followers. So this will be the first year that we do paid advertising on Instagram. But what we're also working on are reels and shorts, and that's a big focus. One, from the research that we've done and information we've collected, we know that that's what consumers are looking to consume. And so it's also, they're just really easy to share, it's engaging, and that's what we're looking to do. So in addition to doing paid campaigns, we're also looking to just generate, a larger reach organically. And I have a video on here.
We have a quick reel here that we created in-house.
Yes.
Ships are launching
ended up abruptly, but that was one of our reels. We did that pretty
Sometimes they
quickly.
do.
Yeah, that was pretty quickly. That was made in-house and got a lot of attraction on that one. And those and others that we've been doing.
Did you get more than 6,000
6,000,
views?
Lisa?
I got 6,000 on a turkey fry, so I expect
Oh,
more.
okay. We've gotten 30,000 before, but I
It's
did.
good, I can do a turkey fry with them.
Got to collaborate. Thank you very much. And so the next part we'll talk about is just following up on our conference center feasibility study. We had kicked that off this year and we have decided, we're working with Johnson Consulting. They came here a few weeks ago and they met with not only us and our team, other stakeholders in Orange County. And we anticipate that feasibility study will be ready for us in May of 2023. We're excited to share with you the results of that feasibility study. And again, we're also trying to narrow down what is our wheelhouse as far as size, considering where we are and where we'd be most successful in the county. So we also doing a lot of engagement with our video and photos. We are collecting lots of videos and lots of photos. We are updating our craft beverage, unique lodging, downtowns, family fun, and a lot of these are in progress right now. We did a lot of filming over the last few months. We're also going to be focusing on a weddings destinations video. We are showing you for the first time ever our brand new craft beverage video that we just put together. We did the majority of the filming last year in the fall, but I'll give you a sneak peek at this video.
What's the craft beverage scene like an hour north from the Big Apple? Let's start with 30 locations. It's entertaining and fun. It's fruitful. And it's delicious.
Orange County is locally grown.
Orange County, New York. Just an hour from New York City. Come taste it for yourself.
So you guys got a sneak peek at that one. That is our craft beverage video, and we think it does a really great job just showing all of our properties. And it is a very large growing sector in tourism. So it's something we are really focusing on. That's right. So I'm sorry, move fast through the next parts of this. We are really proud of this initiative that's come forward, an authentic cuisine tour. We started this program in downtown, the city of Newburgh, to enforce the importance of bringing people into our downtowns. This very successful trend will be continuing in other cities in our county, which are 3, by the way, Newburgh, Middletown, and Port Jervis. But this one was a really fun day. We went to 5 restaurants and really got a chance to taste, a little too much tasting, our authentic food scene in downtown, the city of Newburgh. This was great. We created some inventory with reels, with photography and video, and we really had a great time on that. I think we are also going to show you one reel that we made just based on one of the restaurants we went to. Okay, that was it. That's a quick one. All right, so moving forward, and this will continue. This was very successful. This will continue, and we did outline the fact that we are trying to encourage people to come into our downtowns. This is one of the strategies we are going to be using. Okay, so we do have strategic partnerships that we have been working with closely. Legoland, Woodbury Common, and New York Stewart International. We are going to be working with Legoland on 2 different initiatives on social media. We are already working with New York Stewart International. You've seen the wall mural, which is we'll be getting a lot of compliments on that. We're doing some more advertisements at the airport. And Woodbury Common, we are going to be doing some marketing initiatives with them as well. Okay, Rachel, you'll take website.
Okay, so our website traffic, we saw a huge increase from 2022 from 21 to 22, about 61% increase. It was our best year last year, and we are expecting that this year will be even better. Something really exciting, everything that we do is driving people to our website, and we are in the beginning stages of implementing these modules on the website that's going to make it much more user-friendly. It is going to be engaging, and so once we get people to our website, we're going to keep them there longer, because all of these modules are going to have it's going to have everything that you need to plan a trip here. You're going to have Google reviews, you're going to have a map. This is a screenshot from another destination that uses this company. And so you'll be able to create itineraries. You will be able to look at an event and decide when you're coming. You'll see, put the event in your itinerary, and then it will show you places in the areas nearby with the event that you're going to, say a restaurant or something that you can then add to the itinerary, move it around, get the Google reviews for that location, the hours, and then you can send it to yourself or to a friend or share it on social media so that you can really access it from anywhere. So this is a really exciting feature, and that we can't wait to launch it.
Yeah, and then one thing also, if I can just add to that, is that we spend so much time combing Orange County to see if this restaurant is still open, or what are the hours of operations for this attraction. With this program, it will base all of its information on Google, so it'll be constantly updating our website, so we don't have to keep chasing all the information for our website. So it should be very helpful.
Yes.
I tell you, I really like this. How do we get that out to the public for usage?
They'll have to come to us. They'll come to our website and they'll know how to do it.
If they come to our website, it will be there, and we're hoping to launch this in May.
I think this is well needed.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so, print media. I will go through this quickly. So in May, we're also hoping to launch our new 2023-2024 travel guide. This is just a sneak peek of our cover. It's not finalized yet. We're still making some tweaks. But this year we are moving away from being just a source of information and context, and we're kind of slimming it down a little bit, and now and reducing some of the additional information where it's repetitive or redundant, and we're now incorporating some different narratives to it. So the focus is made in Orange County, and just to tell you guys a little bit about who you might see with an editorial piece in there, the centerfold is going to be finding home farms, and that will have a scratch and sniff centerfold. We'll also be talking about Pollock Talix.
Yes, Polish style.
Okay, said it right.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, who, casts the Oscars. And
A lot more than that.
Yeah.
yes. What they're known
But that's
for.
an honor.
And then we'll also have a piece on John from Orange County Distilleries. So we are in the process of this right now. And then on the right-hand side, you can see just an ad that we did in the summer getaway guide. And that is going to be distributed at a trade show this spring in Springfield, Massachusetts. And the attendance there is around 20,000. So not only that, but it will also be in the Springfield Republican Sunday newspaper, and then it will live for 6 months on their website.
Okay, so that's just, so I'll go through public relations. Public relations remains very strong. We're continuously putting out our press releases twice a month. And we also are talking a lot with our travel writers. They're coming in, we're talking with them, we're giving them itineraries, and we're keeping them here in Orange County. It's very active. It's very rare that a travel writer comes in that we don't actually hop on right away. So we're very happy to be in the press and media world. Restaurant Week is something that historically we haven't really, we've dipped our toes in the water, but I want to say our feet are now in the water. We've definitely made a concerted effort to give some resources back to our restaurants, and we took an active role in Restaurant Week. We're real excited because we're getting on the road for this one. Lisa's actually out on Thursday and Friday this week taking pictures and footage. We're also working with a micro influencer with a lot of these properties, so we're hoping to get a lot of traction with Restaurant Week.
When is Restaurant Week?
It's now.
Started.
Finally.
Today.
It's now. It's for
Today
2
for the
weeks.
next 2 weeks.
Excellent.
So that's
Cafe
great.
Feed,
That's a great way to see Orange County.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And our data and analytics, we have been focusing with a company called Rove Media to do two things: to look at our mobile data, which is the data which is tracking people on their cell phones to see where they're coming from and where they're going, and also AirDNA, which are our short-term rental data. Just as a fun fact for you, if you look at this on the right side, it looks like we have about 784 short-term rental properties in Orange County. I did mention before, Rachel did mention before, there are some regulations that are being looked at for the industry itself, and more to come on that. But that's a good source of bed tax revenue for Orange County, and we're also tracking that as well. We're looking into the event calculator, which actually will go into an event, say it's Newburgh Illuminated or the Apple Fest. We can actually use this event calculator to calculate the economic impact of the event. We're working with a company called Destinations International. We're looking to do that this year. We're also looking at another company called Placer AI, which actually shows the movement of people from place to place. So they come to the New York Air Show, and then they go to the hotel, and then they go to the mall, and then it actually can track them. So Big Brother is watching, and we're going to benefit from that one. So just talking to end our part of tourism, we're going to talk about some events coming up. And we are excited, and we are always eventful, but just to look at some of the spring events coming up, we have a grand opening for Legoland. We have a Sugarloaf Spring Festival, May 6th and 7th. We have our New York International Air Show, and that's happening at Orange County Airport, and that's in June 24th, 25th. Great American Weekend is July 1 and 2, and July 21st is our Freedom Fest at Municipal Memorial Park. More to come on that. That's just an example of some of our events. At this point, we are done with our tourism part, and we're going to go into film.
Does anyone have any questions before? Because I'm going to pass the seat to Nora, our film specialist.
Anyone? All good?
Well, but just a quick comment.
Quick.
Definitely, just want to emphasize for all of you who want to share your food and like your restaurants. I know that everybody had some really great destination. It was really wonderful teaming up with all of them. And honestly, we got to try some really great restaurants that I think a lot of people don't even really know about. City of Newburgh has a lot of great places on the waterfront, on Liberty Street. But there's so many small restaurants that have been in the city of Newburgh some for decades and don't necessarily get the same attention. So it was kind of really intentional to try to get to see some different locations. And so I'm sure you also have all of you here have different locations like that maybe don't get the same level of press, but have amazing dishes, those mom and pop shops. So definitely pass it on to them. I'm sure that they would love to pass by and give them a little bit of attention,
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
I don't know which of you were doing the graphics, but these were great.
That was mine.
Very easy, very legible, readable. Thank you.
And she's also doing our reels and our shorts.
It's really nice.
She's
Great.
turning them out.
Good stuff.
It's really,
Thank
really
you.
nice. Lisa, right?
Yeah.
Great job, Lisa.
Very
Paul.
good. Thank you.
Okay.
Who's coming up next?
Nora is going to sit here just for a second,
Oh,
and
Nora.
we're going to get through at our film, but it is much shorter than tourism, but lots of impactful stuff we're talking through. So we'll go to the next slide. I'm getting the side eye. I'm getting the side eye. Okay, tourism film. Okay, who's landed? We'll pass this slide. Okay, Pretty Little Liars is landed here in Orange County. They'll be here through August of this year. And this is a series, and they have been scouting all over Orange County. They are using 1, 2, 3 sound stages in Newburgh, and they're looking for a 4th sound stage. We are constantly looking for them. We think we've identified something in the town of Newburgh for another sound stage, so more to come on that. And it's New York Homicide, and it was filmed in Westtown just recently, and I didn't get a chance to do any scouting. Did you do any scouting on that? Or it was-
They filmed at a farm in Westtown, did interviews and we.
Okay. So who's been scouting? So as you can see, the production company for Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, Quincy. Dottie has been scouting here. The director of CODA, I think you guys remember that movie CODA. But the director of CODA has been looking at Orange County. And FBI Most Wanted, been looking for a horse farm, Marvel series, Severance, and NTL Studios, which is a local filmmaker, which we always like to encourage our local filmmakers as well. So what's all the buzz about in Orange County and on all these films? But I guess unless you're living under a rock, you would know about Brendan Fraser and The Whale, that he won an Academy Award for his role. That was filmed 90% in Orange County in our sound stages in Newburgh. And that was amazing to see. Did everyone watch the Oscars here? I mean, it was just unbelievable. So also, not only did he win Best Actor, but the film itself won Best Hair and Makeup. That was just really great to see. Other movies, Theater Camp, it's been getting some great reviews. White House Plumbers is coming out next week, which was filmed here at the end of 2021. Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game, that's been streaming now. And of course, Poker Face, which I encourage all of you to see that. That's a lot of those locations were here in Orange County, and it just was great to have them here.
Good night.
And they did.
Lots of it. I just saw the
Yeah.
first season.
So again, just to talk about The Whale and Brendan Fraser, that was just quite the accomplishment and really puts Orange County on the map. So update to sound stages. Folks ask all the time, what's going on with the sound stages? Well, Umber Studios, Umber Stages has their 3 stages now. They're looking to expand in New Windsor at the Anthony's Pier 9 building. They're almost there. They are just waiting for another inspection to get their C of O. And then once that happens, they will be able to use that as a sound stage. But it's been a long time coming on that one. Middletown's Michelson Studio, we still hear from them that they are going to rebuild that studio. They have yet to put a shovel in the ground, but they say they will be rebuilding that studio. And we're constantly searching for more warehouse space, high ceilings, no column, very few columns to act, for a sound stage. We're actually looking for Pretty Little Liars right now. I think we found something, but more to come on that. So, so we have been doing a lot of social media behind our film office, and we've been getting a lot of traction on that. We put out a casting call recently for Pretty Little Liars. If you want to be in this production, this series, let us know. We are putting out the casting call now. 30,000 people responded and interacted with the last post you put about that. So that's a really high number. That shows you that there's a lot of people paying attention to film right now in Orange County. And this is just from News 12 that picked up our story.
Check this out. There's a casting call right now in Orange County. The Orange County Film Office says Pretty Little Liars Original Sin will film in the Hudson Valley April through July. The production is looking for 2 different groups of people. One is people 18 and up to play younger high school students, and the HBO Max series is looking for people living in small towns for several scenes as well. There's mandatory COVID testing. It's provided by the production. You could make nearly $200 a day doing this. To learn how to apply, visit news12.com for details.
So they picked it up from our social media, which is really great. So people are paying attention. Couple other things. We have been busy. We interact quite extensively with our Hudson Valley partners. Westchester had a film conference. We went there to learn about trade secrets and how to attract more productions and actually see the economic impact of their productions. They do a tremendous amount in Westchester County. We're happy to be partners with them. Great news is that we are launching a new film website, and we've been working on that for quite a few months, and that'll be launched next month. And the other thing we're talking to, I'll talk about that in a second. We are planning on assisting with the Sugarloaf Film Festival in September of this year. We had a good response last year, and people really want us to do that again. We're helping with that. It's not our event. We just assist on that. So, and Nora went out on the night of the Oscars. She trucked her way up to Kingston and went to Uplift and sat there and watched the Oscars, and real exciting times when our film won, actually, for Best Actor and also for hair and makeup. But thank you, Nora, for going all the way up there and doing that. So our partners in Ulster County. That is it for film. We'll dive very quickly on that one. Does anyone have any questions about the film office or any of the activities we've been doing? Okay, well, at the very least, you know where to call so if you want to be in any films and be in Pretty Little Liars. So I'm looking for a lot of folks.
I don't think we're going to qualify for high school students.
Okay, well, maybe a teacher.
Out there. I'm looking for a cabin
Thank you.
in the woods.
You're looking for a cabin in the woods?
A log cabin in the woods.
Log cabin in
Very
the woods.
big production. So,
You heard that, everybody. Log cabin in the woods.
Log cabin in the woods.
Watch.
It has to be a log cabin.
Log cabin in the woods.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's on first? Thank you all for coming. Mr. Fiavaranti,
Sir, I'm awake.
you're on deck, my friend. Orange County Industrial Development Agency for a monthly update. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Just pass this out. We only have 2 left on the left there. That's okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Pagione. Oh, you already got that one? Did I send 2 down?
Steve, we're almost there.
Sorry, Steve. I know. That him. More thing.
You can blame Mr. O'Donnell. He said every month. Okay.
If Amanda was here every month, I wouldn't have.
Oh,
Is it?
it wasn't a waste, by the way. Let's go.
Good evening.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for having me.
Good evening.
I'd like to, promise an express report, but I'm gonna do my best, but it's important stuff. So I'm gonna move through briskly, and then I've just got a little thing at the end here. First of all, on the report, everyone has a report, and I shared electronically with Kelly, and she'll share with the rest of the legislature as they like.
And don't feel rushed. Take your time.
Okay, really agree. Thank you. The calendar is on here as always. Want to let you know what's upcoming. Our meetings still are at the, in the community room downstairs on the first floor, right when you come in. A number of you have come into the meeting, stopped by, made faces outside of the glass while we're live streaming. So thank you for any of that interaction. And please, you're more than welcome to join always. Next board development, I would like to take a moment just to acknowledge Michael Torelli, who you all know is now an essential part of the county executives team. Michael was working for the Port Authority in New York and New Jersey at Stewart Airport when he joined the board of directors here at that critical time, basically 2 years ago from right now, essentially, when you removed the former board, brought in a whole transitional board essentially, and Mike led that. And I don't know if there was another person that could have done it, frankly, the way he did. I mean that. I just want to acknowledge that. We gave him a little plaque at our last board meeting, but I really, in this venue, wanted to say that you all know what was asked of this board and the heavy lifting that had to be done. And in the face of a lot of criticism, which we'll get to, a little bit as well. And Mike was just the perfect person. He was strong. He was determined. He knew his work, because in order to make sure we have high integrity people that have no connections to any of this, you got folks from all different walks of life, which I think is great for the IDA, but someone had to have a little background. And Michael had just, that kind of knowledge and commitment to it. So obviously he chose to step down because in working in the county executive's office, and even though he's a very independent person, I think he could operate independently. Just the perception alone that the county executive's office is.
And thank you for that, because those are exactly the kind of ethics that we're looking for from the members that we put on that board. And it was not easy for new members to come onto the board. Not that, it wasn't, we didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater on that one, okay, but there were some bad actors, and we found who that they were. And so now we put new people in there to take that place, and I'm hoping, that they're doing, I know they're doing a wonderful job, and they should all be commended for the great job they did resurrecting that ship that was sunk.
So on behalf of the board of directors, I do appreciate that for sure. That's important. So
I support you on that.
So with, again, we want to thank him, Michael Torelli, again, his basically 2 years of incredibly solid leadership, a little more than 2 years. And it just, again, I don't know where we'd be without him. It really, I put a lot of, as I've said to him, I've said to the board, I've said publicly, he made me a better CEO in this role. Really, he'd ask questions, he'd suggest things that, were not what I was thinking necessarily. And I can't thank him enough. And I know he resigned begrudgingly. He knew it was the right thing, but he was committed to doing the work. So I just want to thank him. That does, of course, second bullet under board development, that opens up another vacancy of one of our 7 available board seats per our bylaws. I know it's not the most welcome news because it's a lot of work for you to recruit and interview, vet candidates. But I have been in contact with the legislative leadership, and we're going to collaborate on that. I have a couple of suggestions, people we could potentially nominate. But obviously it's driven by the legislature, and I want to thank you in advance again for the work that takes to do that.
And I'm happy to take that on.
Okay.
Because what you're doing and what this current IDA board is doing is head and shoulders above what happened before. So anybody who wants to come on this, people should be clamoring to want to be on the board.
Much appreciated, much appreciated. Agreed. I hope the public hears that.
Skipping to the next item, audit reporting. We just completed, our auditor this year, technically a new auditor, PKF O'Connor Davies, though they did acquire JGS, otherwise known as Jelson Giordano and Siegel, and JGS did our audit for many years. We put an RFP out. PKF was only really qualified response we received. We are, as I've warned them, we're going to put that back out for RFP again with a little more time for response because we think it's important and we have some turnover there. But PKF did a very thorough job. The board of directors just approved the 2022 financial audit for both OCIDA and OCFC at last week's board meeting on the 15th. And that the approval of the audit enables us to do our mid-year reporting that's required by the authorities budget office, one of the agencies that oversees us through the Paris reporting system. So that is complete. That goes into our Paris report, and that updated Paris reporting is due March 30th, and we're right on track to do that. We've been on time with our reporting, completely, comprehensive, accurate, on-time reporting. That's been, of course, one of our tenets that we follow. Audit reporting, legal issues. We did complete our comprehensive response to the New York State Senate's Committee on Investigations and Government Relations. I'll get in a little more detail at the end on that. Obviously, our state senator, that was his initiative. The deadline for that was March 15th. We submitted that in advance and certainly thorough, again, comprehensive and ahead of the deadline. We also recently interviewed, our legal counsel interviewed 3 individuals that have really intricate knowledge of the past wrongdoing. And I hate to keep talking about it. I mean, we need to move past it, but in terms of what I talk about, but obviously it was significant what happened. And some folks believe, and it's not that hard to look at some evidence, that there's money maybe left on the table, additional funds that could have been recaptured. So we interviewed 3 individuals, including Legislator O'Donnell, because of obviously his involvement and his knowledge and his role in kind of blowing the lid off this. A transcript of that and a summary memo was drafted by our attorney and provided to the board of directors. And we've been speaking in executive session about that. They have not made a full decision. There's still at least one angle of legal action that they are seriously considering. But these interviews, and they included District Attorney, Assistant DA Stuart Rosenwasser, who of course was the lead on this case, this malfeasance case and corruption case in the past, bad actors here, and Karen Reyes, who's a former county attorney under Langdon Chapman at the time, and she worked very hard on this case. She was tremendous to work with, and she basically did a lot of research to enumerate what the total losses were, and that was part of what she shared with the board as well. So just giving you a full update on that side. Another legal issue is most unfortunate. I've reported recently to you that we have shut down almost all the accelerator locations, basically by attrition, meaning as the leases expire, and there were costly leases, a lot of utilities, CAM charges, a lot of other expenses related to it. But basically, as those leases expired, we notified both our subtenants, as they are legally, and our landlords that our intention was not to renew the lease, that we're shutting these down. We worked very closely with all of the tenants, subtenants, clients, whatever you want to call them. Many had already departed. I had described some of the locations, such as in Middletown at the Touro Medical College. It was largely a ghost town there, so that wasn't much of an issue. But those that were in place and needed to land somewhere else, we worked closely with them to try and support them, help them find locations, whatever we could do. And I will say, and this is again not patting ourselves on the back, but it's just a fact, several of these clients said that they received more support from us, this new administration, than they ever got from the prior. And the prior was the one running these accelerators, trying to make them thrive, allegedly. And we're supposed to be working with these clients, and they weren't getting that support. So even though that wasn't the way we were geared, that's not what our focus was. We treated them like humans and people that were entrepreneurs that are struggling to make business work. And I am proud on behalf of the board and all of you that to be able to tell you that we handled it the right way. What we left open was one accelerator location in Warwick at a former, it's called the Manor House there on the campus, actually right across from Drowned Lands Brewery, which is in the former Mid-Orange Correctional Facility campus, that former prison that we helped really reinvent. So we have 3 clients there that were really supposed to fit that sector, that our focus of that campus around cannabis and hemp and such, CBD. So they have at least some tie to their business being oriented in that. We pay no rent for that facility, and we collect rent from the subtenants, and we even recoup CAM charges, utility charges, things like that. So it really doesn't cost us anything except our time to support them. And when issues come up, boy, as soon as we closed all the other sites and we said this is the easy one, we had nothing but problems in Warwick. All sorts of issues with heat, some of the utility type issues there, and then we had some tenant issues, including 2 accelerator tenants who were separate businesses who then forged a partnership to work together, and that went south. And it's become very ugly. One called the police on the other, saying they took items, this, that, and the other. They both want the space that they're using. And unfortunately, we told one of them who didn't have a signed lease to vacate the premises. They refused to do so. Now we're getting our lawyers involved. So I hate to report that. It's the last thing we need to worry about there, but it is a fact. So that's just another issue that we're having on the legal side. And then the last one, I won't go into too much detail because we're still really working on it. Glen Arden, the retirement community, of course, here in Goshen. Is that the village? It is the village there, right? You know, so they've had serious financial troubles. Someone's looking to purchase them and look to have a buyer, but they haven't been making timely payments of their pilot payments to all the various taxing jurisdictions, not just the town or the school, but the fire, library and such, unpaid for going on a couple of years now. And they haven't paid back haven't been making timely payments to the IDA on their tax exempt bond that we issued. So we've reached out to all the taxing jurisdictions. We have a handle on what they paid, what they haven't paid. We're working with both our general counsel, Susan Katzoff, who you've met, and our bond counsel, Chris Canada. You haven't met him yet, from Hobson Russ, a well-respected firm around the state, especially the Capital District. And with the county's various staff members and the county attorney. And I won't say more than that, but we're looking to resolve this and ensure that if the new owners come in, if there's a purchase, they'll assume all of this debt, they'll make everything whole. And no matter what happens, we're going to work to make sure, again, all these respective taxing jurisdictions are made whole. And we certainly won't enable a company like this to receive benefits and not fulfill its pledges. So that's going on right now. Wanted to update you because you may hear from constituents on that. I want you to hear from us directly.
Thank you.
We're on the second page. Good news. Shovel Ready Initiative. I've talked about this for a while. This is a new direction for investments of the IDA's relatively healthy fund balance to help enable further development. We'll go to the full explanation, but we've run out of sites, especially shovel ready sites. And I was just at a conference. This is a little further down. Actually, this is the next item. I was at the New York State EDC conference. I've mentioned this group before. It's essentially the trade association in New York for economic developers and IDAs like ours. It's been a wonderful resource when it comes to that. One of their sessions, they had a group of corporate site selectors, well-renowned corporate site selectors who were a panel, and they were asked various questions about what's important for a community to attract the best and brightest projects. And their summary, they all to a T said sites, shovel ready. You have to have sites that are ready to go. Otherwise, they're just going to look at another community. That was validation for us because of our shovel ready initiative, where we've hired Delaware Engineering to assess the entire county, looking at GIS records, everything, municipal interviews and such, to uncover the remaining developable sites of all sizes and shapes and for various types of projects all around the county. That work is almost complete and it's been in depth. It's going to be a very robust, essentially a website where you'll be able to find these sites and see, again, GIS maps, water and sewer, all these, troves of information for it. And that's going to be helpful. That's something that will lend to the Orange County Partnership to utilize. Our municipal leaders can use that to gain information on sites that can be developed within their own borders. But our intent is to identify top sites at the end of this that could be the next Micron or the next type of advanced manufacturing, tech, pharma manufacturing, life sciences, whatever it might be. But those types of projects, as I've said before, require additional services and infrastructure. You can't just, like these mega warehouses we put up, you can't just put up a building, put a well in and a package system, a small sewer treatment plant, and be ready to go. With these advanced manufacturing projects, you need abundant power, you need water and sewer, you need natural gas. The IDA will consider making those types of investments to augment power, to extend water and sewer at certain sites where we can bring those top-notch projects. And then last piece, also tied to New York State, this conference, et cetera. New York just last year, middle of last year, launched what they call Fast New York, which is intended to fund local sites to help them make them shovel ready for premier projects like the ones I'm describing. They've already funded some sites around the state that are frankly further ahead than us. They've been working on this for a while, where this IDA was not quite focused on this type of endeavor. It fits in exactly with what we're doing. They're giving in some cases millions of dollars to again increase power in some areas. So this fits in perfectly. I think that's going to kind of dovetail with, once we're complete, we'll have sites identified that we're looking to go into, and we'll partner with the state on that. So that's important. So we've completed the municipal leader interview portion of this. We met with leaders around the county. What do you want in your municipality? What don't you want? Tell us about any sites that you can help us uncover. That was very helpful. Delaware's done most of their research that goes into this. Again, will be a website and kind of an internet service. That'll be great. And then we'll soon be able to identify these top key sites. And I look forward to reporting to you saying, here, this is where we're targeting is primary growth areas to bring the best projects possible, and I'll update you on that. So shovel ready, that's the update on that. As I mentioned, I went to the New York State EDC's annual development conference in Albany in the beginning of this month. Great turnout of more than 400 people. Excellent breakout sessions and general sessions on local labor policies, of which we could contribute to. I talked about the site selection professional panel. And lastly, we met Empire State Development's Strategic Business Development Group. It's led by a gentleman named Jeff Januszewski. A lot of you that are involved even tangentially in this work may see the Orange County Partnerships broker broadcast, they call them, emails that say New York State is facilitating a search for X, Y, and Z. Most of those, to be quite frank, most of those aren't really going anywhere. They're shotgunned out to an enormous audience. If an applicant, a project is working with the state closely to really to cite the next Micron or an Amy's Kitchen, they go through this group, and you get a call from this group if they're really seriously considering your area. And we've had that. At their general session, they had, I think, 14 of their staff members, and they're all focused in different sectors, including cybersecurity, tech, agriculture, all these different sectors, especially the more what I call future ready ones that I'm describing. And it was wonderful to see these people. I've known the group, I've talked to some of these individuals, but to see them and meet them, and I've scheduled meetings with them, some in New York City, to not just say, hey, we're on the map and we're looking for these projects, but to say, in some of these sectors, we're not ready. How do we get there? How do we really grow cybersecurity as a particular cluster here? And those folks can help partner with us, and of course keep us on their radar screen when they are searching for sites. So I thought that was a great outcome out of that conference. That was excellent. Last thing on other updates, we did submit our report. I guess I included this with legal as well. Last piece on here is our project summary, which I try and give you in every report. This is just for the new administration, to be clear. So these are the projects approved and closed. Closed meaning you could be approved and they never pay us a fee. They never actually get the incentives. They have to close, really, their attorneys and ours, essentially. And there's a process. And most projects like to close their financing on a project with IDA benefits and property closing, and all that all happens at once. So sometimes there's a delay to make sure all the things are lined up. So you see on top, there are 4 projects that this IDA administration approved and are closed or happening. When it's closed, it's guaranteeing pretty much it happens. Approved but not yet closed are the 3 below that, including Milmar Foods, which we just approved a month ago. And in the pipeline, we just had a public hearing for an Amazon. It's intended, it was confidential for quite a while, and then once it comes to us, it's going to be public. We warn everyone. It's an Amazon distribution center slated for Wayanda. Not looking for a pilot, to be clear, but looking for a sales tax exemption and mortgage recording tax exemption. So that's what's in our pipeline. And last thing I'll mention in that subject is housing. This is something we've been exploring for a while. We brought some experts in to speak to our board and educate us. I've been going to housing conferences. It's to say it's a crisis is an understatement. Obviously, we're seeing the governor and both houses of the legislature looking to address this. We want to as well. I think the IDAs around the state, many of them play integral roles in incentivizing and assisting housing projects to happen. We're very much focused on job creation, of course, but one basic tenet I want to share with you is housing crisis can inhibit our ability to bring in further economic development. we need the workers. The workforce is the most critical piece. And if they can't afford to live here or in the vicinity, we've got a real problem. So we're looking to address that, again, like many other IDAs do, to just try and help alleviate the housing crisis and be able to have more workers, a greater share of our workforce live and work right here in Orange County. So that's something, we haven't considered any applications yet, but we've been gearing up for it. Something, again, I've been trying to learn more about from our council, from these conferences, from our peers around the state that are doing this. It's something I look forward to reporting more on the future on that. And the last thing I want to do, and certainly open to questions, is go back to the investigative committee, this, that, and the other. The latest piece of news, the latest attack, frankly, that happened, I guess it was last week. This blew up. And I hate to give many more press, I'll do so. Senator Skoufis is basically every other week coming out with a new attack against us. He, just for the record, he has introduced, as a senator and before that as an assembly member, he's introduced a number of bills for IDA reform, both in general to reform IDAs around the state, and in some cases specifically to target IDAs like ours, which he has done. Those bills, every single one has failed. They don't come, even though his party has a super majority in the legislature in New York State, the bills all fail. His colleagues don't agree with him. What his latest maneuver was to kind of like what we hear about the Trump's tax cut or Biden's infrastructure bill, when they're agreed upon by both houses of the legislature, oftentimes there are smaller little unrelated provisions or bills that go into that, final, whatever. Yes, a rider. In this case, the senator was able to get a provision that would require the Orange County IDA to pay for a monitor from the authority's budget office, who already closely watches us, to pay for them to come, sit in on all of our meetings and judge what we do. And if they don't like decisions we make, they can overturn those decisions. First of all, it's completely unnecessary, and I'll explain that. But obviously, it's onerous and something that, frankly, could shut down the IDA. It could keep anyone from wanting to come to us, board members and applicants alike. But he did this as a kind of an end around because, again, just introducing bills wasn't working. So it did make it into the New York State Senate's budget proposal for 2023. And was not a part of the assemblies, and it was not a part of Governor Hochul's address. But this is an example of something that it is a threat to us. I absolutely wholeheartedly believe it's unwarranted. It's, as I've been saying recently, I didn't really want to get into the mud, but I've had to kind of throw back. That's a waste of taxpayer money and time. The amount of time I'm spending responding to Senator Skoufis's press conferences and attempts at this and that, it's incredibly frustrating just because I keep doing work on everything I talk about above that and trying to bring the best and brightest projects to Orange County. I'm doing a lot of work on that. That's okay. I'm not complaining. I'm certainly not crying, but I've also been working to counteract some of these things. Here's what I did want to ask you all. And as a board, we are reaching out to a number of our partners in economic development, looking for some support. We're not looking for anyone to attack Senator Skoufis. You don't even have to mention him by name. The biggest problem that we have, really, especially that I have, is I've told you this many times, I get paid for this work, as do the two young women that work with me. We get paid for this work. Our board is completely volunteer. You recruit them. It's thankless work anyway, even in a different environment. But in this environment, they have been continually, for months, being called criminals and corrupt. Now, the senator throws the word borderline in front of that. We really no longer think that actually keeps him from being libelous or slandering us. I mean, it really is slander. But my concern is that this board is frustrated. Of course, Mid-Hudson News watched the live stream of our last board meeting, and the board was talking openly and sharing their frustration about it. That turned into the latest headline. This is why I avoided going back and forth, because I don't necessarily want to lengthen these stories, because we find it frustrating and frankly to us nonsense, but it's news. As soon as we respond and we say something, especially if it's something spirited, let's say, then that's the next headline. And then it's Senator Skoufis, what do you think? And it goes back and forth. But in the end, it's just us defending ourselves. And you know how it is, and no disrespect to any other victims that I may refer to. But for example, if you're accused of murder and it's just the accused saying, I didn't do it, I was somewhere else, you know how it is when you're in the public. You have to think that at least there's something true about, what the accuser is saying. And that's not the case here, and it's incredibly frustrating. So we're reaching out to all of our partners, the trades for whom we provide local construction jobs. If an applicant doesn't come to the IDA for benefits, then they're not held to our local labor policy, which requires 85% of construction labor be local. They're not held to that. So we've asked the trades, the Orange County Partnership, and I'm here to ask you formally on behalf of the Board of Directors to ask the full legislature for some sort of support. All we're really looking for is just the piece on corrupting criminals, that the work we're doing is good. I think you all know me for years. You know I'm not a criminal. You know these board members who you yourself recruited and vetted and put out there. They're frankly out there in the wind and they're getting abused. And I've already had a couple, and I don't blame them for this. They're threatening to leave unless something happens, unless they see that we're not just alone in the wind there. And I fear that they'll leave, and we're certainly going to take a step backward. We'll have to put off our UTEP review and revision that I've been talking about, and all these important things, till we reform the board. I don't know how we'll get people after this. Not to mention applicants are going to continue to say, there's a black cloud over what we do. So enough said, but anything the legislature could do to show their support of these board members that you recruit, because again, I'm not looking for anything you don't know, anything that is sticking your neck out over the line, but the things we all know is that this is not a corrupt group of individuals, and any support you and others can show us, I think, would go a long way to furthering our mission. Enough said. Thanks very much for letting me say that.
Any questions of Mr. Fabio? Mr. Paggione?
First of all, Bill, every time you come to this meeting, you are very well prepared. You have these bullet points here in front of you, but you hardly look at them. You talk about this because you know this stuff.
That's my work.
And I can feel that here. And I just want to compliment you for the way that you come to this meeting and the way you present this information. And you are a great value to this county and to all the people in this county. And you mentioned these board members. These are citizens who live in Orange County. They volunteered to sit on this board. And I will tell you that I'm proud of each one of them who has taken it upon themselves to put their name out there and be vetted and then get approved to be on this board, and then come with all the good intentions that they have to those meetings which are broadcast, are recorded, and which all of the work that you guys do is then sent to the state and through the Paris reporting and through the ABO. So there's no chicanery, there's no hiding. All of this is clear and in the wide open. And I just want to thank all of them. I want to thank you, not just personally for being a good guy, but for the way that you've professionally handled yourself and led the IDA. We're very lucky to have you. We're very grateful to have all those board members.
Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I was pretty involved with everything that went on with the IDA and been involved with both recruiting and interviewing the current board members. Every one of them, they're all upstanding people, and we work very hard to find those types of people to put the IDA back on the right track, and they've done so. They've gone above and beyond that endeavor, and I think we should all be very proud of them, and whatever we can do to support the IDA board, I think we should do. I think we can coordinate something with you to make that happen.
Thank you.
What else? Let's O'Donnell.
Such as a resolution, press conference, whatever we gotta do. I mean, like I said,
That's the words I wanted to hear. All right?
I should note that Legislator O'Donnell has publicly been out there saying that and shooting down that. I'm sorry, I'm remiss in not mentioning.
Like I said, coordinate with Bill and do whatever we can
Yeah,
to.
let's get a resolution, even if we have a press conference. I mean, 6 of our citizens, right, out there being called borderline criminal, right? Not once, not twice, 3 times. I called them out at the last public hearing on the Milmar proposal, all right? I told them, listen, stop it. If you have anything criminal, you come talk to me and I'll point you in the right direction with my criminal background history, all right? If you got something criminal there, then put it on the table. Stop accusing our volunteer citizens of criminal activity. It's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace that this person, right, who just barely got elected this time. Barely, right? I'm glad to hear the unions are coming out front now. I'm glad to hear that the 6 citizens still left on the board have had enough. And I'm asking publicly now for us to step forward. And I'm hoping we do the right thing and step forward and stop this so-called senator, right, from disrupting our lives and keeping us from attracting businesses. Because that's what he's doing. He's having an extremely negative impact on our ability to attract businesses where we can keep our children here with good paying jobs. Okay, we had the previous meeting, right? People sitting right there, OC, right? What's he doing about the state budget with OC? Zero. So let's start targeting his lack of responsibility, his borderline criminality, and not getting the state to pay their just due. That's borderline criminal. That they're supposed to pay 1/3 and they pay 20%. What's our elected senator doing about that? Nothing, except trying to sneak this oversight. This is the first time hearing that the person would have veto power.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's just gets worse and worse. Enough's enough, and I'm glad that the board sent you here with that message. Thank you.
I think it's also worth noting that we're talking about a career politician who's never had any experience in the private sector, never run a business, never had to meet a weekly payroll, and he's attacking volunteers who are experts and professionals in economic development. So it's just totally unacceptable.
Thank you, Chairwoman Pinelli.
We as legislators have been sitting here month after month after month. We have gone through very tumultuous times for quite a while now. We took some very aggressive methods when we realized that something was awry with the IDA here in Orange County. We didn't pick and choose who was going to stay, who wasn't. It was apparent that we needed to have total change, total leadership, and that's what we did. We went through an extensive vetting process for the people that are sitting there. They are volunteers with only the best intentions for making Orange County better. And for them to be attacked is totally uncalled for and unwarranted. And the ironic part of this for me is that we live here in New York State with legislators that are state legislators that cannot get their act together to make this state more attractive to economic development. That's why we have an IDA. If they did their job in Albany, sorry, Bill, you wouldn't have a job.
I'd go find
here in
another job. I
Orange
say it
County
all the time.
Doing that, you'll have another job.
I would gladly do something else if we didn't need an idea.
And this is what we're dealing with. And it really is a shame. You have good people, upstanding citizens that are out there working very hard to make the place they live and work in a better place. And you have people that are supposed to be representing their constituents that cannot help them whatsoever. As a matter of fact, they just continue to be obstructionists. And it's really a shame that it's even being entertained. So I appreciate you coming here. It's really a shame that if people come or listen to all these videos, every month you come with a progress report and you give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. And as things turn, you're making strides. You can't change everything overnight, but damn it, you're really working to make that happen, and you are, given the most recent support. You're still looking for the injustices, and if there was money left back on the table with the old board, to accuse this new board is absolutely absurd. So I thank you all, and thank you for bringing it to our attention once again.
Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else? Hearing none, I would like to say this. There are some people who see success and see successful people, and they like to put chains and weights on those people, so that the good work that you are doing slows you down in doing it. That's not helping our constituents. That's not helping our community. That's not helping our county. So I think someone needs to refocus their attention on something they might be able to do, because I haven't seen anything positive come from this person, except to attack. So hopefully they can do better than we have done at lowering rates of taxes in this county at the state level. And they may want to take a look at what we are doing here. So you have my support. Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, next up, last but not least, Mr. Stephen Gross, Director of Office of Economic Development, for a monthly update. Sir, you have the floor.
Thanks, I'll be somewhere in between the length of Amanda's and Bill's. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. I'll get you there, no problem. Plenty of time. First off, I'm gonna start off just by letting everybody know, save the date, our second annual economic summit is coming up. I'll pass it to you
Yes.
around September 15th, SUNY Orange.
Thanks for the advance notice on this.
They might be able to go straight there.
Not on my watch, not on my watch. So we're putting it together right now, working on the program. It will be at SUNY Orange in Middletown again. We had 300 people last time. We're putting that list out again to the same group of individuals, looking at topics like the foreign trade zone, doing business with county government as a whole between our DPW and our planning department and our health department, a lot of the departments that have to regulate businesses in the county. Working with, people to understand incentives a little more. It's not all the IDA and the good work that Bill does. It's also things like the foreign trade zone, which is all of a sudden really gaining some speed and momentum. When I came here last month, I told you we're going to have a board meeting. We did have that board meeting. It was on February 24th. The board took action on a new request from Finley's Tall Timbers. They're a company in Broome County that does lumber and hardwood floor finishing materials. So they're looking to be in the foreign trade zone. But since that time, the phones ring at least once a week with somebody interested in Tom out by your neck of the woods, Swimwear Anywhere, company right on the corner there. Right on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Called the other day, didn't know about the foreign trade zone. Been here many, many years and just found out about it. Want to know more about those benefits. We're trying to get that word out. And one of the things we're going to do is put together a webinar on May 2nd. We have a webinar being planned with the federal foreign trade zone people, Liz Whiteman from Federal Foreign Trade Zone, and some other individuals. We're going to put that out and get people to understand a little bit more what the foreign trade zone can offer. The more people know about it, like I said, it's an untapped tool. And just a little bit of putting it out there has got the phone ringing. So if we get it out there a little bit further, there's some great opportunities now with reshoring and bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., making sure companies don't leave the U.S. Let's let them know that we have a foreign trade zone here. And as the county exec said, and Bill mentioned before, you've got companies like Micron that have set up shop in New York State. We're going to try to get them down here. I've been talking to the county exec's office as well about doing some promotional videos. Amanda can't be the only one with the videos on the screen. I got to get videos. So trying to get some videos out there to let people know, these small online tidbits with Facebook and all your online social media platforms. Get it out there. Let's get that message promoted that Orange County's here and we're ready to go. We have a lot of insight and ability to make these things happen in Orange County as well. The conference center study, when I was last here, we had the conference center individuals come up about 3 weeks ago. We took them all around Orange County. Amanda, Dana, and I, we had a great forum. We had them meet with the owners of Woodbury Common. I should say, not the owners, the Dave Mistretta, the manager of Woodbury Common, Pyramid Group in Middletown at the Galleria, Newburgh Mall, Elliot Spitzer, who runs that facility as well as a lot of the other amenities we have, Angry Orchards, Legoland, the big ones, you name them, City Winery, and just get to know the lay of the land in Orange County. And boy, their eyes popped open like this. Boy, every time we met with them, they're, how have we never been to Orange County before? And by the end of the meeting, they basically told us, you're going to have a positive report. Orange County definitely will have the need for a conference center. The question is where and how big, and that's what they're working on right now. So hopefully we'll have some information for you in the next couple of months and be able to present that to you as well. And I believe this Wednesday, the legislature will be voting on the Rules Committee for the $55,000 CFA grant that came along from the state to support that study. So I appreciate that effort as well. Aside from that, we're working with, other agencies and departments to try to fulfill that need with respect to pushing things through in a timely manner for businesses. And I'll give you a prime example. The food bank of the Hudson Valley, looking to go to Montgomery, all of a sudden had an issue with the FAA. So we worked with the county health department to revamp the plans in a very quick time manner to get them approved so that they wouldn't miss their federal guidelines for the grants, which were really tight timelines that they had in place. And now that project's approved moving forward, I believe there's going to be a groundbreaking coming up in the next couple of months. So that's a very good project for the county, as well as other issues with small community issues like Cornwall, who's lost their grocery store, the Chico's. So working with that community as well, trying to help them out. They were also the recipient of the $4.5 million state grant for downtown revitalization. So the timing could be useful for them with respect to receiving those grant funds. With that, I know there's a lot of other things to talk about, but maybe I can strike a deal to get first on the agenda next time. I don't know how, but I don't know how that works. I feel like the rope-a-dope with Muhammad Ali sometimes, but here we are.
Definitely not. You can, yes, we will arrange that.
You're the first one next time.
There you go. Throw it out there. Thank you, everybody.
You heard that right? Anybody questions?
Wait, no.
I have to ask. All good?
There you go.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second? I'll second. All right, Fed June, thank you very much.
Gentlemen, ladies.